Dear participants, as the director of the Austrian Study Center for Peace and Conflict Resolution, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this IPT online lecture series 2021, focusing on the topic of navigating complexity. If we look at the state of the world today, we have to face a lot of different crises. If we think about crisis, I think one of the first things we have in mind is, of course, the crisis concerning our climate and the climate change. But we also have a crisis of migration and refugees. We face a situation where we have more than 80 million refugees and migrants globally, actually the highest number since the Second World War. We still have to face the crisis that we see a lot of wars, for example, in the Middle East, but also in Afghanistan, in DRC, you can name the crisis. We also face actually an economic crisis. We do see the gap between the rich and the poor getting bigger and bigger. So we have a lot of challenges that we have to tackle. If we look at this crisis, each crisis is actually already complex enough. But then we also have to consider that actually each crisis is reinforcing and influencing the other crisis. The crises, they are interconnected with each other. Climate change, for example, makes the desert grow, makes people living their home because they don't have any possibility anymore to live there. They are looking for new opportunities. This is again triggering a lot of extremism, is triggering violence. So if we look at these different crises, they are all interconnected. And this is why we would like to talk about a polycrisis. So in order to understand the different dynamics, how the crises are reinforcing each other, are influencing each other, we think that it is very important that we start to think in a more complex way. So we need to learn to think not only in causal effects, but we need to understand that there are a lot of dynamics that we even cannot foresee and that are producing results that we have to face then, that we need to understand, and that we also hopefully can prevent if we start thinking in a more complex way. Actually, this IPT online lecture series is part of the ASPR campaign that we are running this year, which is called Homeland Earth. This concept of Homeland Earth is coming from a French philosopher and sociologist, Edgar Morin, who is celebrating his 100th anniversary this year. Edgar Morin wrote this book, Homeland Earth, in French, Terre Patrie, already in 1993. And already in this year, he pointed out that we do need to understand the complexities and that we need to learn thinking on a planetary scale and that we need to act on a planetary scale. It is not the solution to try to come up with something on a national level. This polycrising is affecting our whole planet, so we need to cooperate and we also need to strengthen multilateralism. So Edgar Morin in his book is actually promoting a very specific form of complexity. He is differentiating between restrained complexity, which, for example, for him would be this kind of complexity thinking that we find, for example, in chaos theory. And he then lays out his understanding of complexity, what he is calling generalized complexity. So in a nutshell and very simply explained, what he means by it is that he thinks that not only the whole is more than the sum of its parts, but actually that also the part is reflecting the whole. So he's developing here actually a hologrammatic understanding of complexity, and this is something that is resonating very much with our work here at the ASPR. Again, a very simple example: if we do invite 10 representatives of different conflict parties in a room, we do not only have these 10 persons in the room, but we have the whole conflict with its complexity, with the different dynamics in the room, and this helps us to understand a little bit better what is going on. Edgar Morin, in his book Terre Patrie, is not only focusing on complex thinking and how we should learn to think in a more complex way. He also says that we do need to develop this kind of planetary awareness. So this is actually the aim of our campaign, Homeland Earth. We want to contribute to strengthened planetary awareness, which again is the basis for planetary acting and for finding solutions on a planetary scale. So we hope that with this campaign, we will be able also to bring together activists from different strands that are focusing on one aspect of this polycrisis, so that they start working also together, supporting each other. And in this sense, we also hope to reach out with our campaign to similar campaigns that are ongoing on a planetary scale. Edgar Morin also says, in order to deal better with these polycrises, and he says, by the way, we all produced this polycrisis as human beings, as humans, but until now we were not capable to come up as humans with solutions to this polycrisis. So he says, in order to really develop a planetary awareness, it is not only about complex thinking, but it is very important that we also come up with an emotional connection to this planet we are living on. So, and what he is explaining is very beautiful, because he says it's not about becoming ruthless cosmopolitans that are chatting around on this planet Earth, but he says this love that we have and this emotional connection that we have to our nation, to our country, this love and this emotional connection, we should expand to the whole planet. So it's not about giving up the love to the home country, but it is about connecting, about expanding this emotional connection to the whole planet. So what he is saying is, imagine our planet. Our planet is such a tiny place in this universe, and we human beings, we are actually a community of destiny, because our destiny is strongly connected to planet Earth, and this is why we should focus and have this planetary awareness. So we are actually reaching with the Anthropocene a new time area where not only we need the planet Earth, but also planet Earth needs us in order to survive. So I hope that you will enjoy this IPT online lecture series. We tried to bring together really a lot of experts from these different fields of expertise. And I hope that the lectures that are forthcoming will be inspiring for you and your work, and that they will help you also then to improve your practical work and what you can do in the field of peace building and conflict transformation. Enjoy.